So hello everyone and welcome to how Proact switch from on-premises storage to AWS has cut costs by 20%. When you joined today's webinar, you selected to join either by phone or your computer audio. If for any reason you would like to change your selection, you can do so by accessing your audio pane in your control panel. Also, from this control panel, you will have the opportunity to submit questions to today's presenters by typing your questions into the questions pane. We will collect these and address them during the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. If we are not able to get to your question, we plan to responding to each of you personally through email. The deck will be available through SlideShare along with the recording of the webinar after 2 or 3 days from the conclusion of this presentation. So keep an eye out for that email. So my name is Mo Zamzam. I am a Partner Solutions Architect for Amazon Web Services, and I will be your host and moderator for today's webinar. So, today's joining me also today, in addition to my introductory presentation of storage on Amazon Web Services, I will be joined by Yaron Hymason, who's a manager of Cloud Solution Architecture at NetApp, as well as Robbie Chhabra, who's Cloud Solutions Architect at Proact. And today, the learning objective from today will be focusing on learning how Proact and NetApp were able to deliver 11.9 durability that Amazon S3 provides to help save customers' data from corruption by referencing a specific use case that Proact has delivered, as well as how they've helped that customer to achieve 20% reduction in AWS storage costs using Amazon Elastic Block Storage. And we will also try and focus today's learning on NetApp's ONTAP solution that can be leveraged on top of AWS. But to start with, for the first 10 minutes, I will focus on how business transformation can be enabled by using the various storage services on AWS, and some of the use cases that our businesses use storage on AWS for today. One of the main use cases that customers tend to rely on AWS for is primary storage, using the various storage services that we offer, as well as there are other use cases around backup and DR and archiving. But the services that we have on offer today, they vary between 3 different types. So starting from block storage, using Amazon Elastic Block Store, which essentially is block storage offered in a pay-as-you-go model at different sizes and different performance capacities. We also have object storage. So Amazon S3 is one of the most utilized services that AWS offers today. And in fact, it was one of the first services that AWS has delivered to market many years ago. And today, users use Amazon S3 in its raw format as raw storage to essentially put and get various files of different sizes and types. And it integrates really well with a number of services that our partners offer, such as ONTAP by NetApp, which will be covered later today. We also offer Amazon Glacier, which is essentially an archiving service that can replace the use of tape on premises today. So anything that can be stored on tape can be stored on Amazon Glacier as an alternative, and it will provide many advantages that we'll cover in a minute. And finally, the third type of storage that is offered in AWS is EFS, or Elastic File Store. Which is essentially, as the name suggests, is a file storage, an NFS-based type storage that is offered as a service. So we manage the underlying infrastructure, and customers consume the storage on demand when needed by connecting it up to their EC2 instances and leveraging it as a storage. On top of that, there are a number of services that AWS offer to enable ease of migration or data transfer into AWS and out of AWS. So there is AWS Direct Connect, which is essentially connecting your on-premises data center or your office into AWS directly, having a consistent connectivity to your data. And there are others as well, such as AWS Snowball and various connectors that some of our ISV partners have developed that connects you into our services or integrates into our services to allow you to migrate your data across. Finally, in terms of our storage gateway is another service that you can leverage today, and essentially it adds it's an appliance that you can add into your on-premises environment, from a virtual appliance that you can add into your on-premises environment that will essentially extend or allow you to extend your data storage on-premises into AWS and leverage it for multiple use cases. All of these can be used as various data transfer services today on AWS. But if we take a step back and look at what are the common storage challenges that customers face today on premises. First of all, it's complex and relatively slow to maintain a data storage environment on premises today, from ordering new hardware, ensuring that you've got enough capacity, and managing access to the data center and access to that storage. Provides a lot of limitation and time-consuming hours away from meeting your requirements. Also, and most importantly, what we see from customers today that are using AWS, they making sure that they achieve the right compliance on premises that meet their industry requirements or obligatory regulations that they need to follow. It's very hard today, and requires a lot of effort, and a lot of that is taken care of by AWS in terms of the underlying infrastructure. And finally, building and maintaining an on-premise storage solution requires a lot of capital expenditure upfront, as well as maintaining and managing hardware, which again is looked after from an AWS perspective, as we're going to see in a minute. Some of the benefits that AWS provide when it comes to using our storage services as your primary storage. First of all, it's natively integrated with all the other services that AWS offers. You can leverage EC2 instances and our relational database as a service, and they are all backed by the various storage services on offer, like S3 and Elastic Block Storage. Also, security is built in at all layers within AWS. We see it as job zero, so there are inherent security that customers can leverage from AWS as we manage the underlying infrastructure, but also we provide a number of tools and services that will allow you to secure your data that suits your requirements. For example, access rights and encryption, at rest encryption in motion. There are various services that offer all of that. It's easy to maintain, so you can manage the environment either via the AWS console or via an API automated fashion that allows you to essentially script and manage your infrastructure in an automated manner. And finally, it's cost effective because you're only paying for what you use. In terms of our APN partners, so today NetApp and Proact. NetApp is an AWS technology partner, and Proact are one of our consulting partners, advanced consulting partners. And both are an example of the very large community of partners that we have in our ecosystem that can help you leverage and make use of our storage solutions. NetApp's ONTAP solution, as you're going to see later, they were able to bring their own intellectual property and integrate NetApp's technology with the AWS services as a backend. So if you are a customer today of NetApp and enjoy using NetApp on premises, you can leverage the same technology that NetApp offers on top of AWS. And if you're a customer today that find the capital expenditure required to make use of NetApp on premises, the ONTAP solution will provide you the essentially the same capabilities, but in a pay-as-you-go model on top of AWS. Also, the experience the likes of Proact can bring in terms of building and integrating your solution on AWS is very valuable. And finally, before I hand over to Yaron, I would like to talk to you about what customers see as a main benefit from using AWS, and that's our shared responsibility model, where AWS are responsible for the security of the cloud, whilst customers would be responsible for the security in the cloud. And what we mean by that is we, as in AWS, we would be responsible for all the underlying infrastructure, removing all the heavy lifting required in terms of managing the security of a data center, in terms of managing the hardware of your solution and capacity. And we leave the customer with the responsibility of managing their data running on AWS, and that's where you can leverage some of our partners like Proact and NetApp to come and support you in doing so. So I will hand over to Yaron now, and I will be available till the end to moderate and manage the questions. So please submit any questions that you have in the panel on the left, and it's over to you, Yaron.
Thank you very much, Mo. Very happy to be here. So thank you very much and welcome everyone to this webinar. My name is Yaron Chaimson and I'm managing the solution architecture team for the SaaS Business Center for NetApp in Tel Aviv. And I would like to introduce to you Cloud Volume ONTAP. Okay, Cloud Volume ONTAP is essentially a fully fledged version of ONTAP, same OS, running natively on AWS while consuming native cloud storage and native cloud compute. Think about us that we took the same OS and just made it available on the marketplace in AWS using off-the-shelf components, and we'll see the architecture slightly later. This allows us to offer an enterprise-grade storage solution running through the marketplace, even to the extent of enabling high availability storage for cloud applications. This is highly sought after, and we'll talk about high availability as we'll go further down the agenda. But first and foremost, what's important for me to convey that this offering is essentially a fully fledged version of ONTAP. So everything that you know come to work and respect on top of ONTAP, which is the NetApp operating system for software, is available at the marketplace, starting from supporting storage efficiency technologies, very easy replication technologies, which allow you to move data in and out in a very easy way, and including data tiering technology, which allows us to take advantage of both the highly efficient EBS tiers while doing capacity tiering toward S3 and the like. Cloud Volumes ONTAP is available in two license models. We'll talk about that later as well, as a pay-per-use model and the license model, so you can choose whatever fits your needs. And it is very easy to launch and manage via GUI and API, as we will see soon enough. If we'll talk about the architecture in kind of a higher level, Cloud Volumes ONTAP is the greenish box you see here in the middle. It is allows you to serve volumes and applications across all the HTTP protocols in a very easy and efficient way. And all the licenses that you see on the right-hand side are fully enclosed and baked into the product. We understand that this is something that some of our customers are using this on ephemeral basis, meaning they started a couple of days this month and 3 days the next one, and maybe day here and day there. And that's definitely fine because it fits your storage needs, right? You sometimes just need some storage, and it's great that you have one of those great storage devices in your fingertips within about 30 minutes. But some of our customers go with us for quite a while now. Our offering is celebrating its 4th birthday on AWS Marketplace very soon. So all the licenses are built in, so you won't have to buy any more additional licenses. It starts from the snapshots, Fabric Pool for data tiering, we'll talk about that, deduplication and compression that would give you an extreme storage efficiency and would save you lots of money, supporting AWS KMS encryption, SnapMirror, SnapVault, and FlexClone, which is essentially a killer app. The ability for us to take and have a writable snapshot in an instance without taking any additional storage capacity is actually a great thing. As you can see from the drawing here, all the software that was generated and created, well, hopefully you are familiar with those, all the software that was generated and created for managing any other ONTAP setups, System Manager, Unified Manager, the Workflow Automation Platform, Cloud Insight, all of those work seamlessly against Cloud Volumes ONTAP based on the simple premise that it is ONTAP, plain and simple. The only proprietary piece that was generated specifically for Cloud Volume ONTAP is the Cloud Manager. Cloud Manager is a more specialized tool, a very intuitive user interface that allows you to deploy Cloud Volumes ONTAP instances within minutes and allow you to manage your data replication needs from the data center to the cloud, for example, by a very easy drag and drop, as you can see from the slightly blackish screen at the top right. It offers data security choices through metadata encryption and facilitates hybrid environments in general. The idea is this is a tool that allows you to create Cloud Volume ONTAP instances across the network wherever you need that. And on top of that, it would allow you to do all the logical next steps. I want to find my on-prem and replicate to the cloud, check. I want to create a volume and do something with it, serve data with it, check. So quite a few things are available and facilitated, and you can use them to your heart's desire in a very easy and accommodating user interface. Let's talk a little bit more about the deployment and architecture. So cloud, you can start as easy as going to a website called cloud.netapp.com. I'll show that website soon in a few seconds. And you can go to that website and sign up for a user. It's free, and it would act as an SSO for all of our products. You can just start your first cloud manager through the marketplace as well, or through that website, and then go forth and start using it. The idea of the architecture of Cloud Volume ONTAP is very simple. We take an EC2 off the shelf, create it first, attach 2 disks to it. One of them is the root of the device, another one containing the OS software for ONTAP. We boot from those disks, add data disks as needed, and then within 25 minutes, you have a fully bootstrapped version that runs ONTAP. If you SSH to that instance, it has CLI, and if you'd start moving data into it, in all likelihood, quite a lot of that data would actually end up in an S3 bucket through the VPC endpoint. If we manage the S3 bucket, this is something which is fairly new. It's available for the last, well, around a year or so. We now offer data tiering to object storage. Performance tier, the hot tier, is going to be using Amazon EBS. So the difference between using, let's say, 100 terabytes of GP2 storage in comparison to tiering of the data would probably allow you to get about 90% of your data in the capacity tier. So think about it. Instead of buying 100 terabytes of GP2 storage, you can have 10 terabytes of GP2 storage and about 90 terabytes of S3, and probably even less than that because we compress that. We do support S3 and S3 in frequent access very easily, and it definitely allows you to reduce your AWS footprint, which saves you a lot of money. This is a dramatic cost saving because if you look at the general pricing difference between a GP2, for example, and S3, that's a difference of about 7.5 cents per gigabyte per month. So that's tremendous. We do have separate policies for production workloads and separate policies for DR. So DR is leaning heavily on S3. Production workloads work slightly different. It would allow you, it would check the aggregates, and whenever you'd get to about 50% full, and if you'd stay that way, at some point it would start tearing off snapshots, and then within, well, around a month or so, it would start tearing off colder blocks as well. And obviously it would reheat them back and as soon as they need it, right? So that's going to happen as well. If we move from that to higher availability, this is something that is highly sought after. The environment in AWS is extremely resilient and it is extremely robust and allows you to get quite a lot of things. But you know what? This is life and things may happen. And Cloud Volumes ONTAP HA would allow you to create across two AZs, create an environment that would allow you to get high availability and failover of in a multi-AZ setup. Essentially, that's a zero RPO setup. Every time that you write to node in AZ A, it would synchronously replicate to node B, and the write would be considered successful only if writing to both sides. If something bad happens, this is definitely ideal for enterprise application in the cloud. But if something bad would happen, and let's say one of the AZ or one of the instances would have some kind of a malfunction or a need to switch over, then we are able to serve all that data from the other node, and the switch happens usually within less than a minute. So the RTO is less than 60 seconds and the RPO is 0, which is awesome and very much ideal for enterprise applications running in the cloud. The setup is based on 2 data nodes and 1 split brain, as you can see, and duplicate sets of disk because we would like to continue and serve the data from wherever we can. The data which is in the S3 bucket does not need to replicate because the bucket is available for both nodes anyway. So that's easy and pretty much seamless. Let's take a look at the customer architecture. I specifically selected one which is slightly older but is very interesting. It's a customer in the HR. It's an HR customer running payroll applications and the like. So they have a Citrix share farm running MS SQL on AWS. It's a multi-AZ operation in Europe. Two AZs cross-replicating between each other. Only the critical volume, they decided to have two separate applications, two different sets of instances, not HA in this specific case, and just cross-replicating 2 or 3 critical volumes on which the Citrix share farm is leaning on. And again, apart from that, doing that over GP2, which gives them ample performance, they are using ST1s in a DR site in another region. So the first one is in Ireland, EU West, and the other one is EU Central, which is Frankfurt. Very easy, very seamless. Something bad happens, they can always switch data back and forth. And again, all the technologies are built in. There's no agents, there's no additional software. It's agentless configuration only based on what NetApp has to offer in terms of replication technology. SnapMirror and SnapVault are fully baked into the product, and you can do whatever you need with those. So that's a high-level architecture. Let's talk a little bit about purchasing models. So first and foremost, it is available in the marketplace. So there is a pay-as-you-go model. You can deploy it by the hour. You can pay only for the hours that you use by the hour per tier. We have 3 tiers. Up to 2 terabytes of underlying storage, up to 10 terabytes of underlying storage, and above. Above means that you can go all the way up to 368 terabytes of underlying storage. And that's not enough, by the way, because you can go, when you can think about storage efficiencies, you can actually go higher, which means that essentially you can get to a point of putting 4 and 450 terabytes on top of it based on a very modest level of deduplication and compression that is included. The fact that you're running a PayGo, even if it's a very simplistic 2 terabyte one, you're essentially getting a full feature set with a support contract, so you can use everything that you want to do in the same way that you'd have when you use a BYOL license, which is an annual license that you can buy from NetApp or a partner such as Proact. It's an annual subscription which allows you the full feature set, and the support contract is included, obviously, and any permutation of instance versus capacity. In the PayGo, you have specific tiers of instances per tier, so this is what you can use when you think about licenses. So just to sum up what I'm saying here. So first and foremost, Cloud Volumes NetApp bring enterprise class data management for the public cloud, which definitely allows you to launch a new system within minutes, 25 of those roughly. And from that point onward, this is ONTAP. So everything that you have on ONTAP can work the same way in Cloud Volumes ONTAP, obviously barring things that are hardware related. And then seamlessly and easily you can migrate your data across your hybrid cloud resources and get everything that you need to get. It would also allow you to enjoy tremendous cost saving using tiering technology, compression, and deduplication. Just think about it, even without tiering, the ability to have a very modest rate of 30% deduplication, which is considered very solid and modest in the industry, allows you to buy just 70 terabytes of storage instead of 100 as an example. And this is quite a lot because storage is the component that would probably rise the most, and Proact would show you later how you can save up more even on storage. The model of slicing is very easy and versatile, so I'll highly recommend checking this out. And on top of that, I would like to mention that we have another offering which is starting and is relevant in quite a few regions. It would come to Europe later this year, toward the end of the year, very early the next one, which is called the Cloud Volume Service. The idea is that this is going to be a more of a SaaS offering, a high performance, scalable enterprise file service, NFS and CIFS that would be for AWS. You'd be able to consume the service under your existing billing agreement, so no marketplace offering per se. It's just that you go around and say, hey, I would like to get 50 terabytes of NFS, and you get just that, a chunk of 50 terabytes of NFS, which is going to be very high performance. We'll have several performance tiers, so you can probably use the one that you want. It would provide, we're starting with NFS, so NFS v3 is already available for preview in Europe, I guess, as well. 4 and 4.1 are up and coming. It's significantly performant more than Cloud Volume ONTAP, but again, a model which is more simplistic, and it reduces provisioning and development time from minutes to seconds. So you can get 100 terabytes as fast as about 8 seconds and use that storage as a service. You don't run infrastructure, you don't purchase anything, you just pay the bills for it. No NetApp or ONTAP knowledge required, and you are billed for it through AWS. If I can mention, one very big company in the genome sequencing did mention that it actually runs 3 times faster than self-managed block storage devices with 3 NFS servers and 15 EBS volumes. So it helped them replace a massive infrastructure by something else which worked really, really well for them, allowed them to run calculation 3 times faster than standard NFS that they had. So, well, I would probably just go ahead and recommend that. And if you want to learn more in general, before I switch to Robbie from Proact, just go over and try everything that we have for free. Most of our offerings have free trials. Just go to cloudnet.com, sign up. Again, it's a free sign up. There's nothing specific to it. And with that, I would pass. I thank you for your time and would pass the baton to Robbie. Robbie, take this away.
Thank you, Yoran. Hi, so my name is Robbie Chabra, and I'm going to talk about how we combined AWS, NetApp, and our skills to create a hybrid solution for our customer. So in this slide, I'm going to talk about our capabilities. Going to give you a bit of introduction of Proact itself. So we are AWS's advanced tier partner, which means as a partner, we provide professional services to firms that require designing, architecting, building, or migrating services and workloads onto AWS. We are also Europe's leading consulting and technology partner, and we provide proven technologies and implementation capabilities to a variety of use cases, which includes backup and DR, primary storage using IP file or block protocols or object storage, active and passive data archivings, business continuity planning with minimum of plan modifications. We have more than 50 AWS qualified professionals within the 15 countries we operate as a business, and AWS public sector partner as well, which means we are trusted by the regional authorities to provide solutions based on AWS, NetApp, and our own product lines. So what is our go-to-cloud approach? We have a 5-stage cloud transformation strategy, and our go-to-cloud approach surrounds the 5 fundamentals. The first one is the discovery and roadmap. So here we assess existing technologies and capabilities, and we deploy tools such as application discovery tool from AWS and other native tools to discover existing cloud-ready workloads. This allows us to create a clear and a precise roadmap. And then we create a migration plan. This is where we live by the 6R methodology of AWS itself. So this is where we retire, retain, rehost, refactor, or replace a solution as per business requirements. Once we've done the planning, we make sure that we validate that as well by creating a validated POC, and this is where we qualify the migration plan. And then the operating models. These are the models usually an organization's internal governance, change management, integration management, and their own core capabilities that we then help them to keep those values and migrate those workloads, keeping the same values onto AWS as well. And then the optimization is generally what we see as the last step seen by our customers. So once we have moved a customer to AWS, how do we ensure that these customers are spending money resourcefully? So our optimization service allows us or our customers to prevent bill shock situations. We at Proact also help our customers to optimize their cloud and visibility across all their resources. So we use tools such as Cloud Health, NetApp's own Cloud Volume Insight, and AWS's Trusted Advisor. So I'm going to talk about a use case or a solution that we provided for a customer in Europe recently. So a customer had a few requirements. They had a traditional NetApp environment, a primary environment, and a secondary environment, using NetApp systems, using SnapMirror to replicate data from primary to secondary. They also wanted a third copy of their data into cloud, available for businesses in case of primary and the secondary sites were unavailable. They also wanted to use the cloud to its full potential. And the challenges, we had to prove them that we had the competence to build a solution, and also be able to use the cloud to its full potential. We also had to replicate 300 terabytes of data within less than 3 weeks. And they also wanted to make sure that they use the data in a smarter way. So replicating or introducing data tiering, with so hot data on performance disk and cold data on object store. So how did we do this? So by using our own cloud platform or a hybrid cloud platform, we created a POC environment. We took a small data set from the customer and we implemented that in the POC, which gained confidence for customer to with our abilities, and they wanted to carry on with us as a partner. One of the other requirements that the customer had was they wanted to introduce data tiering. So what we did here was we separated the metadata, which was the hot data, onto performance disks, like EBS volumes, and the active data, we stored it, or the call data, on S3 storage. And as Jeroen was saying earlier, so on-command Cloud Manager is the tool that we use, which created the hybrid platform between the customer's DC and the AWS environment. And as Jeroen explained before, it's a AMI that you can get from AWS's marketplace, and you can launch it under customer's own AWS account or under Proact's account, and then this acts as an extension of their on-prem NetApp systems. So what were the benefits of this solution? So the benefits were that customer did not have to invest in a separate backup solution, such as tapes or drives. This also in turn reduced maintenance time of drives from a vendor or delivery of tapes, etc. They also benefited from reduced data footprints, so there was no rack space or cooling to pay for, so they also reduced their data bills. Data center bills, so that will start to look like things of the past. And not only that, it also allowed the customer to use the whole Amazon ecosystem, so they could quickly deploy EBS volumes, S3 storage, and new EC2 instances. But also, if they wanted to, they could analyze their data using services like EMR, which is readily available service on AWS. And not only that, but they could have also used all the services on AWS, things like Glacier, so putting lifecycle management policy on their cold data to transition into archive data, put monitoring in place from CloudWatch, create another VPC pairing, auto scaling into different availability zones. That was all readily available for them to start using without having to initially invest into that. So cloud adoption is increasing rapidly as we see. So factors such as need of agility, on-demand scalability, and flexibility is what customers are demanding these days. So cloud offers pay-as-you-go service for our users, which helps them reduce their cost to a greater extent as well. With very few exceptions, all of our customers have now started their cloud journey. What we also see is that different parts of different customers' businesses have different requirements. So in some cases, the requirements are that their application should not leave their data center. But in some of the cases, it could be that some workloads are better fit in cloud. So therefore, we see that hybrid IT is our new reality. But also, we also see that there is a struggle between developers and operations quite often, where developers want faster and more flexible platform, while operations hold them back, or developers do think that sometimes the operations are holding them back. But that's not on an ill will. It's just that the operations have a clear focus on what they want to do with things like data protection, quality, and stability. So they have core values. However, the risk is that if the developers let go their side of the rope and start building something that operation might not agree with, then it could create a lot of shadow IT within a company. So this is where we come in. What we do is we explain to our customers why their existing infrastructure is a platform where they can start their cloud journey. Proact has helped businesses in the past and currently to integrate their existing infrastructure with cloud platforms. So developers can get access to the services and capabilities that public cloud offers without having operations to thumb them down, or getting that feeling as a developer that operation is blocking me to do what I want to do. So with the right architecture, we have the ability to access our data regardless of where the data is located. So whether it's in cloud, or whether it's near the cloud, or in customer's own data center. But what's important here is the data format that we keep and retain, and we also retain the existing skills on NetApps for our customers. So what are the major drivers for our customers to start moving to cloud? So dynamic workloads, so things like temporary workloads. So you have a Black Friday, or you have a Boxing Day. Sorry, wow, I forgot about Boxing Day. It's in the UK. Yeah, Boxing Day on the 26th of December. So if you want to upgrade your environment just to manage the workload, that workload can be used on cloud. Backup and DR is also another driver where mostly a critical DR is critical for a business, but it only adds value during the disaster scenario or maintenance. So the cloud can be the right fit for that. Application testing. So cloud offers several building blocks for creating an application. So if we can have the developers to use cloud platform, this will reduce the application creation time as well. And readily available tools for DevOps. So infrastructure as a code can be used to deploy environments, configuration management tools like OpsWork, that is already available for DevOps to use. And then obviously analytics and data lakes, things like AI, machine learning, big data. These are very highly and complex, very expensive tools, but readily available again on cloud with an OpEx model, so you don't have to initially invest into these technologies. So Proact starts by developing a right strategy for our customers and our end users as well. And this happens in the very beginning of our engagement with our customers. And part of the process is that we find where the organization is today. And the way we find that is by asking the questions very early in the stage. So we ask questions like, why do you want to move to cloud? Or what value you see in cloud? Or do our customers know what is ready to move to cloud and what's not ready? And where is the hybrid a good fit? Now we see customers that find value in hybrid are usually have some factors to consider. So their factors could be regulatory data or GDPR data, where the data shouldn't be leaving the region where they are. So hybrid technology or hybrid cloud is the best fit for that. Security requirements can be where customers are creating their own security keys, but they want some sort of centralized management key technology. So Cloud HSM, as an example, can be used on AWS, and you can store your keys in a centralized way on the cloud without having to initially invest into that technology. Some people want to keep their data close to them. Still, we see a lot of customers as a comfort factor for them. Again, hybrid is the best fit for that, and multi-cloud strategy as well. So you might want to use, different clouds. So that's also a right fit for hybrid environment. So what are the factors behind choosing us or Proact as a partner? So at Proact, we always focus on latest technologies, so that can reduce your time to market. So we also consider a lot of factors, but some factors are the main ones that we consider are VM migration tools. So if you already have on-prem VM DKs, you want to migrate them to AWS, what's the best way to do it? We go and assess your environment. Auto-scaling opportunities, you might want to put your workload in a distributed availability zone so you can increase your availability. Network connections for our customers, so creating a VPC, making sure the backbone is right before you start working on a cloud platform. Regional support. We see this as a very important factor because we are based in 15 countries across Europe, and now AWS is also opening a new region in Sweden or Nordics. So we are already there. So the regional support for us is, because we're already there, every time a new region is open in Europe, there is a higher chance that Proact will already be present in that region. So that's a great factor for our customers. And different storage options on AWS as well. So you can use object storage or block storage, and we can help you with data tiering. And security as well. We offer security as a service. So that could be also a reason why you want to choose Proact. And the calculation of cost. So we have mechanisms built in our environment that will help you create those bill assumptions that avoids bill shocks at the end of the month. So I'll finish this slide by saying that Proact's role as a partner and a solution provider is to consider these factors and provide design that fits best for our customers' requirements. So I'm going to give you an overview of our platform today. So red is the regulatory data, and green is movable data, or the data that can leave a data center in this slide. So what you're looking at here is Proact's own hybrid cloud as it looks today, and this is just how we help our customers to build their own hybrid strategy. Here we provide access to our data and applications between the components, both inside and outside the cloud. So what is the benefit of this solution? We bring stable networking in this solution. This solution helps with better performance, and the main factor is the less egress cost. So the interesting thing is that more regions AWS is opening, more access we are having in those regions, especially in Europe, because of our geographical presence across Europe, and we are able to reduce the response time to deliver a hybrid solution for our customers. So how do we sell this service today? So we can build this solution in several ways, either a turnkey solution for you for meeting your requirements or specific business requirements, or we can sell this as a service. If you buy this as a service, we offer similar scalability and elasticity that cloud offers. So businesses can use Proact's platform capacity with less arrays and increase or decrease the use of the platform based on your requirements. So what this allows you is to bring that pay-as-you-go model in your environment that you would normally use AWS for and NetApp for. So in this slide, I'm going to talk about the use cases. So the use cases could be the DR case where you want to create a disaster recovery plan, or a BC, which is your business continuity plan, or test or development environment. We have in our own data center a primary side, a production side, which is in turn replicates the data onto the secondary side. So on the primary side, we also have applications that work on SQL Server, and that saves the data locally, but also sends a copy synchronously to the secondary side. So in case of any issues on the primary side, we have the data that secondary side is available on secondary side. But instead of having to create the machines on the secondary side, we can create those instances onto AWS itself, but the data will stay local. So your data is never leaving the data center, but you're using the compute onto AWS, on AWS. What it also does is also answers the questions of scalability through containers. So you can scale up front-end servers that have access to the same data contained in secondary systems. So what we're also doing is we're answering the problem of containers that need access to persistent storage. And of course, you can use the analytics systems as well, such as EMR, to read your data. So as a platform as a service, you can tap into those services as well. So how Proact switch from on-premise storage to AWS cut costs? Well, you're not using the eyes and the hands support that you used to in the previous or the traditional data center days. So that reduces your cost. You're reducing cost and footprint with bringing efficiency into your environment and using cloud. and efficiently using data. So using technologies like snapshot, thin provisioning, compression, deduplication, most of that is taking place on cloud. So you're reducing the cost by 20 to 40%. And that's what we've done for a customer in Europe when we delivered the solution for that customer. So what tool sets we use? Obviously, there is a long list of other tools, but these are the primary tools that we will use, which is an NPS, so NetApp's private storage, Cloud Volumes ONTAP, storage gateways, Zoto, Cloud and Joe, we partners with them as well. So data migration services for migration into RDS databases and keeping schemas intact. So you use SCT, schema transfer tool. So SMS service, the server migration service for migrating your virtual machines, and of course direct connect to reduce your egress cost and increase and decrease latency. So what's the onboarding process? So when you join as a customer, either new or an existing, you join under our master account. And the benefit of that is that you get access to the discounts that we bring at the consolidated level, the volume level discounts, whether you're using storage or you're using reserved instances. We are able to pass on those discounts to our customers. Or you can, rather than joining a career or joining a new customer, you can also bring your account to us and link the account to our organization. That's another way of joining Proact's master account. But the benefit is that we can provide you bills in your local currency, which is a big factor for quite a lot of our customers across Europe, because they take out the dependency of converting their existing bills from dollars into their local currency. So we do that all for you when you join the Proact umbrella. And this was my last slide. So if you have any questions and answers, please feel free to ask them.
Thank you very much, Robbie, and thank you, Yaron. It's Mo again from AWS. We're now going to transition into our live Q&A. I've had like a few questions already submitted, and I hope you've received the responses to in the past few minutes. But as a reminder, you will be able to submit any written questions through the questions panel. And in the event that we're not able to answer your questions today, we will follow up with everyone individually via email. So it's open for questions now. And in the meantime, whilst we wait for questions to come in, I have a question for Yaron. The question is, why do you need a storage system in AWS then? So what's the added benefit here from your perspective?
Okay, so as I mentioned, there are quite a few added benefits, and it depends on what you are trying to achieve. AWS storage is definitely great and allows you to get quite a few things, and not just under your belt, but sometimes there's those added benefits that come with a very mature storage solution, which was developed over 25 years and has quite a few new features that can allow you to gain much more benefits. For example, volume cloning, which is instantaneous, or replication technologies that allow you to move data in and out seamlessly without adding any additional third-party software. So I definitely call that a benefit. But again, there are quite a few other things, and it depends. And there are some customers that are definitely can use this or the other. But yeah, that's for storage for enterprises. Sometimes you need just more juice to be precise, I guess.
Understood. And I still haven't seen any questions submitted, but I do have another one for you. So how does CVO help reduce the costs associated with storage?
So as I mentioned, we have quite a few features that allow you to save up on storage. So first and foremost, CVO, by the way, that's Cloud Volume ONTAP. That's the acronym that we use across the board. First and foremost, deduplication, the ability to look at blocks, well, in an offline fashion, right? That's happening at night when the gnomes are loitering around and your systems are sleeping or resting a bit. We look for matching blocks and reduce them. Essentially, that allows you to buy less EBS storage and just use more of it. So essentially you get to the point that you buy 70 terabytes and then use 100 terabytes on those 70, effectively saving you the 30 to buy the additional 30 terabytes. That's the duplication, and it goes hand in hand with compression and other features such as compaction, which allows you to use some efficiency for very small blocks. So NetApp is very famous in their storage efficiency, and we thought that bringing that to the cloud realm and allowing you to save up on storage makes quite a lot of sense.
Great, thank you. And I've got a question for Robbie from Proact. So what happens when cloud migration doesn't go as planned? So how does Proact plan for this, or what's your approach to surprises that could happen during migration?
We generally try to avoid these situations, but I understand that these situations sometimes can be unavoidable. What we normally do is create a POC that is as close as possible to a customer's environment, and we learn lessons and apply those lessons onto the real migration. Now, if things go bad, the beauty of the cloud is that you can roll back quickly, and you don't have to worry about bringing your data back onto the environment, and you can have a parallel environment running and just switch to the new environment. That's what we normally try to do, is try to avoid those situations by creating a POC, which is as close as possible to a real migration. That's how we avoid a situation like that.
Okay, and we have another question in the chat that just come in. So, is the 20% saving achieved in the customer use case that you've shared with us? Was it by simply just moving to AWS, or is that achieved by the volume discount provided by Proact?
Yeah, so that was simply achieved by moving to AWS. But then, yeah, it's true that you can increase those savings if you come in under Proact's umbrella and join us as a linked customer. Then we can pass on those discounts to you as well, so you're benefited by other customers and their spend.
Great, thank you very much. So as next steps, then if there are any other questions, please feel free to submit. We've got 1 more minute before we close off. But in the meantime, as next steps and for any further information, there are a few links on the slide on the screen, as you can see, to Proact and the partnership that they have with Amazon Web Services. If you want to read more about their offerings on AWS, there's also a link to the AWS website around partner solutions, specifically NetApp Cloud Volume ONTAP offering, which you can learn from more, and it's available via the marketplace as well, as Yaron mentioned earlier. So there is a lot of information on the AWS website of it, plus some use cases. And finally, please make use of AWS today by signing up for free to have access to the AWS console, and making use of the free tiering that is offered on many of the services, including S3 and EC2, the use of EC2 instances. And you can find out more information there. So finally, thank you very much for attending today. Please remember to fill out the survey that you will receive by email after the presentation. The more feedback you can give us, the better, so we can make this a much better experience for everyone. and thank you all for attending. So we'll close off the webinar.